Born in a Yoruba village nestled near the Niger River, your childhood is rich with tradition and love. By 5, you're at your mother's side learning to pound yams, singing songs that make the work lighter. Your grandmother tells stories beneath star-filled skies, teaching you the names of ancestors and the wisdom of your people. Now at 16, you've mastered the sacred drum rhythms, your fingers speaking ancient stories across stretched leather. Your father, a respected elder, has begun teaching you the sacred traditions that would one day make you a community leader. Life flows with purpose each passing season, strengthening your connection to your land and people until the morning that silences all laughter. Then comes the morning that silences all laughter. You're 17 when they come not just white men, but also African soldiers, armed with muskets hired by European traders. Your village is betrayed by neighbors turned enemies, its defenses overwhelmed by gunfire. The last glimpse you have of your father is through smoke, his body crumpling under a musket blast. Rough hands grab you, chaining you to 30 others. Ahead of you, the chains bite into your wrists so deeply that blood runs down your arms mixing with sweat and dirt. Every step feels like dragging an anchor through molten lead. The march to the coast takes weeks or perhaps only days. Time loses meaning as hunger gnaws at your stomach and fear grips your heart. Those who collapse are whipped until they rise or stop moving altogether. A woman ahead of you is heavily pregnant, stumbles and falls. They don't even slow down. Her screams fade behind you, replaced by the sound of musket fire as her lifeless body becomes another casualty of greed. That night, you learn to weep without making a sound, choking back sobs as you lie on cold, hard ground. Sleep is impossible. The cries of the dying echo around you, blending with the howls of hyenas drawn to the scent of despair. At 17 and a half, you see the ocean for the first time. The slave ship looms like a monster, its wooden sides stained dark from previous journeys. The smell hits you first: human waste, vomit, blood, despair. It's a stench so overpowering, it feels like a physical force pressing against your chest. They strip you naked, shave your head to prevent lice leaving your scalp raw and bleeding. The white men examine you like livestock, poking and prodding your muscles, inspecting your teeth, marking numbers on your skin with hot iron. Your tribal scars, marks of honor and identity, mean nothing to them. You are cargo now, a piece of property to be bought and sold. The ship's hold becomes your world for up to 3 months, a purgatory of darkness, stench, and despair. You can't stand it, can barely move. Bodies press against you in the darkness, some breathing, some not. The air is so thick you have to fight for every breath, your lungs screaming for oxygen, as if drowning in tar. Human waste runs between the boards you lie on, soaking into your skin and festering into open sores. Out of the 200 in your Section 60, don't survive the first month. Their corpses are thrown overboard, feeding the sharks that follow the ship like vultures circling carrion. You watch children expire in their mothers' chained arms, their tiny bodies convulsing as dysentery drains the life from them. Some mothers refuse to let go, clutching their dead babies until they themselves succumb to exhaustion or disease. Sickness spreads like fire. Dysentery turns your insides to liquid, forcing you to defecate where you lie. Smallpox erupts across your skin in oozing pustules, each one a searing reminder of your helplessness. Every morning they drag out the dead. You watch a boy no older than 10 being hauled away, his emaciated body limp like a broken doll. His eyes remain open, staring blankly at a sky he'll never touch again. The sharks following the ship have learned to wait for their daily feast. You try to remember your father's teachings about strength, but in the darkness, even prayers feel small. At 18, you first set foot on American soil, legs so weak they barely hold you. The auction block in Charlestown feels colder than any iron. They sell you to a tobacco plantation owner from Virginia. He pays extra because you're young and strong. Your price is 40 pounds sterling. As they lead you away, you see a mother and child being sold to different buyers. The child reaches desperately for her mother, his small hands grasping at empty air. Her screams pierce the air raw and primal as she fights against the men holding her back. Their reaching hands will haunt your dreams for years, a constant reminder of the bonds that were severed, and the humanity that was stolen. The plantation teaches you new kinds of pain, dawn to dusk in the tobacco fields, beneath a sun that shows no mercy. The overseer, a man named Thomas, takes pride in breaking new slaves. On your third day, you stumble while carrying a basket of harvested leaves. His whip cracks across your back before you even realize what's happening. 20 lashes leave your flesh shredded, exposing muscle and bone. Salt water is poured into your wounds to clean them, sending waves of agony coursing through your body. For weeks afterward, you can't sleep without crying out in pain. The whip cuts through skin and muscle, but the real damage is deeper. It carves away pieces of your soul. As you heal, you learn that some scars go deeper than flesh. By 20, you've mastered the art of invisible rebellion. You keep your language alive in whispered night songs, though doing so risks punishment. One evening, you teach younger slaves the stories of home, passing down the history they tried to steal from you. When the overseer catches you, he forces you to kneel in the dirt for hours, holding a heavy stone above your head. If it drops, the lashings begin anew. Every secret word is a victory. Every remembered prayer is a weapon against forgetting. But the cost of defiance is high. Your spirit is tested daily, and sometimes you wonder if survival is worth the price. At 25, you watch a young boy born into slavery, learning to read in secret by moonlight. The penalty for literacy is severe lashing isolation, or worse. Yet still they learn. When he's caught, his screams echo across the plantation as the overseer uses a branding iron to mark him. The smell of burning flesh fills the air, mingling with the metallic tang of blood. That night, you add his name to the list of sacrifices you carry in your heart. Each name is a weight pressing down on your shoulders, a reminder of the countless lives crushed beneath the wheels of oppression. At 30, you're considered an elder among the slaves. Your back is a map of scars, each telling its own story of defiance and survival. You've seen hundreds of new slaves brought in, their eyes wide with terror, their spirits already fractured by the horrors they've endured. You've watched children sold away from mothers, their cries fading into silence as wagons roll out of sight. You've seen men working until their hearts give out in the fields, collapsing face first into the dirt, their bodies left to rot under the blazing sun. Yet amid the brutality, you've also witnessed incredible courage, slaves risking death to help others escape, mothers naming their children after African kings and queens in defiance of their Christian masters, old men teaching ancient recipes for healing using plants found in Virginia's forests. These acts of resistance, however small, are sparks of hope in an endless night. The white man's church tells you that God ordained your slavery, but in secret night gatherings, you keep alive the stories of African gods who weep at what their children endure. You learn that resistance takes many forms: a broken tool, a misunderstood command, a song that carries coded messages of escape routes. Even laughter becomes an act of rebellion, a way to reclaim joy in a world designed to crush it. By 40, your hair is streaked with gray, but your spirit remains unbound. You've survived what was meant to break you. In the quarters, young ones gather to hear your stories of Africa, of freedom, of dignity. You teach them that though their bodies are enslaved, their minds and spirits can remain free. You pass down the secret languages, the hidden meanings in quilts and songs, the ways to preserve humanity in a system designed to destroy it. But you also warn them of the costs of the beatings, the separations, the endless cycle of violence that seeks to grind them into dust. This is not just your story. It's the story of millions torn from their homes, of cultures that refused to die, of spirits that wouldn't break. It's a story written in blood and courage, in whispered prayers and forbidden songs, in endless labor and fierce resistance. A story that echoes through centuries, demanding to be remembered and demanding to be told. Because remembering is also resistance. And in remembering, we honor those who lived it.